So I think what a lot of people are missing is that AI is not a there's no magic fix, not a magic button. It's a tool, just like anything else. So I think if you can find that specific tool, you don't want anything massive that will help your company or have someone hire somebody that comes in and helps you do that because really it can all be catered to anybody. So I think that that's where everybody kind of gets mixed up. They're freaked out because there's all this different information. I think one of the small areas to start in would be some sort of like a chat GPT or something like that, where you say, hey, I need you to help me automate this. Honestly, I think that for people that have never dealt with AI before, that are new companies trying to come in, it is better to have someone from the outside perspective kind of guide them. I don't really think there's one magic thing that fixes everything. It's kind of going to depend on what you're doing and what projects you have it going on. And I think that's where everybody kind of gets it mixed up. Oh, it's AI will do everything.
Welcome to Podcast Wise Perspectives, Cybersecurity, and AI. Today, we are cutting through the noise of the artificial intelligence hype cycle. Every C suite executive is looking for an AI strategy, but few have built a functional operational engine that actually generates revenue. Our guest today is a literal bridge between technical complexity and real world execution. She's a 30-year technology veteran, an AI implementation strategist, and a marquee who's who in America honoree. As the founder of Visioneered, she balances a grueling schedule as a full-time caregiver from a small town in Virginia with architecting enterprise-grade automation, content engines, and custom GPT applications. From her frontline work in workflow automation to her future-focused projects in mental health tech and EEG headbands, she knows exactly how to build systems that balance aggressive automation with human authenticity. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Hey, Valerie.
Hey, how
Hey,
are
how are
you?
you? I'm good.
Doing
I'm
good.
good. Awesome. So, all right. So we're gonna jump right in. You're often called a visioneer near in a world currently obsessed with the magic of AI. What is the one boring, non-magical system that most companies are missing that would actually make their AI investment profitable?
So I think what a lot of people are missing is that AI is not a there's no magic fix, not a magic button. It's a tool, just like anything else. So I think if you can find that specific tool, you don't want anything massive that will help your company or have someone hire somebody that comes in and helps you do that because really it can all be catered to anybody. So I think that that's where everybody kind of gets mixed up. They're freaked out because there's all this different information. I think one of the small areas to start in would be some sort of like a chat GPT or something like that, where you say, hey, I need you to help me automate this. Honestly, I think that for people that have never dealt with AI before, that are new companies trying to come in, it is better to have someone from the outside perspective kind of guide them. I don't really think there's one magic thing that fixes everything. It's kind of going to depend on what you're doing and what projects you have it going on. And I think that's where everybody kind of gets it mixed up. Oh, it's AI will do everything. It's great. No, well, it takes a person to be able to make it like that. And it has to be changed and, utilized and paid very close attention to help that particular business. I don't think there's one tool for one specific thing for anyone. I think there's a lot of potential out there and I think that it can do great things, but you got to have the right mix with the right company.
Okay, that makes sense. So most leaders have a vision, but have the plumbing, but a few have the plumbing. How do you bridge the gap between a high level AI goal and a functional daily system?
Well, so it's good. That is all going to depend. First up, what I do is the company contacts me and they tell me what exactly they're trying to do. I do content creators. I can do just about anything for anybody. I don't have one set niche that I deal with. So that company tells me, for instance, there's a real estate agent they want listings or they want to be able to market their stuff. So I look at how big their company is. I look at exactly what they're trying to do, if it's an automated workflow they need, if it's more of graphics, I'll go with more of a video thing. And I actually have AI that creates the entire thing for me. So I have a system that searches every part of the internet that can intertwine any type of systems that you want to make whatever you want. Now, yeah, that involves other software and other companies, but It just depends on what exactly they're needing as far as what I can do for them. So it's really all depending on the company and themselves. And I don't mind doing I actually love it. But there's no one magic system, I guess. And the one thing I would caution people on is to understand what you're dealing with before you just start messing around with things, because it can be great, but it can mess a lot of things up. So you want to make sure that um you're putting in exactly, putting the input in for the results that you want, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of so some companies want marketing, some want, with Sora having went down, I'm actually working on creating an AI app that would actually make videos for you and that kind of thing. So I think that,
Nice.
and it changes as time goes by. So there are ways to automate everything, and there's things companies want to keep some things on the human element instead of that. But I would definitely start with the things that are routine and mundane that people necessarily don't want to do. So then they're not
Yeah.
thinking about their jobs. It makes your job a little bit easier.
I agree. So you talk about building revenue engines. What are the three non-negotiable components of an AI-driven sales or marketing engine?
Well, first of all, it would have to be that you would have you would understand there's risk along with that. So it wouldn't be that you're just
Yeah.
blindly expecting this to take off. And the other thing would be that the non-negotiable would be that you have to be kind of flexible where that's concerned. So we have a goal, but you have to they have to trust me and that I'm going to get them to that goal. Would be so you want the foundation for the trust. Um, the other thing would be the non-negotiables is that you're always going to want to have a human in there. I will never ever take over and say, "Hey, make this all completely automated." But you have to be able to be flexible, and it's gonna take time, and you have to understand that going in. So, the non-negotiables would be somebody that was definitely patient and ready to work, that definitely wanted to do this and is willing to go with the things as they come.
Where is the Goldilocks zone for automation? How much can a C suite executive safely automate before they lose the human centric value of their brand?
Well, I think that's also going to depend. I think that you can't have anything that's completely AI driven. I think once you get above like 70 and 80%, it's going to seem like it's completely robotic and not an AI versus human. I think that it's
Hmm.
always got to have I think you need to at least keep it half and half, myself, personally. I think there's a sweet spot because you have to have that personal interaction and that where it gives it that human, because nobody wants to deal with a robot all the time. And you're always gonna have to have humans that kind of um adapt with it and change it and as it goes. So I feel like it's kind of gonna
Hmm.
be a half half, and the more half for the AI side would be the mundane things, the things that are taking forever for people to do that they don't really wanna do anyway, if that makes sense. So, the as far as the innovative ideas, I think that always needs to stay human, myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the AI part that, like you were talking about the mundane
Yeah.
things is like, if you can copy paste something that you copy paste all the time, can that be automated, please? Like,
Yeah.
like
Well,
you're
that's what
doing
I
it
say.
from
I said,
Word to email.
I think AI was basically in my opinion, the purpose of it was not to replace us and not to do all these things that everybody's freaking out about and scared about because people don't really completely understand it, and people listen to the news
Mhm.
and things. It's not all that bad. I think there was actually sent here as a way to help us not do those things that we don't like going to our jobs for, that are so boring and we don't need to do those. We don't want to do 'em, and to be able to actually enjoy life a little bit. So if you can take those
Yeah.
mundane things that you don't want to do, it's because I can set this up. Mine basically runs for free, and I have it doing whatever I want. That's me personally. I've spent a lot of time creating these things and making them work, and so for me, I love it. Some people feel like that it's gonna replace them, but I don't ever see that happening. I do see that if you come under the understanding that it's going to be doing the jobs that people don't really wanna work, so they can use their brains for other things and do the bigger parts of the project, I think that it wouldn't be so bad myself. Like, I don't wanna answer 500,000 emails and, answer the phone. So if I have a little AI assistant that can do that and can organize it for me, then that's taking that off of me,
Yeah,
especially with a big
exactly.
company.
Yeah. When you audit a business, what is the most common friction point that prevents AI from scaling?
It's kind of so the would be that people just some people are just so scared of it and they don't want to change anything. They want to have
Adapt.
complete control. They do not want to adapt with it. Um, and the other thing is getting the companies to trust you. Like I really am fresh starting out in this. I've been working with technology for a couple decades, but I'm just now getting into where I am creating things and I actually came up with this entire visioneered, which is basically if you can envision and I can bring it to life idea because
Hmm.
I see needs and I feel like that I could fill them, and make and I could do something with leave a legacy here for me and in my family when I'm not here. And I just think that, there's so much possibility, but people are so hesitant of it. And I don't know why. I don't know you know, why it's
Well,
not going to replace humans' jobs completely. That's not possible. I don't think in my mind.
yeah, I think why people are scared of it is, in my opinion, it would be because it's new ish,
Yeah.
right? So commercially, it is newish, whereas, you know, and also how you see what AI is, right?
Right.
So artificial intelligence can be very broad to, you know, if you look at when you go to the grocery store and you have those self checkouts.
Yes.
So that's a form of AI,
Right.
but people are not seeing it as AI,
Yeah.
right? It's an automated system that is taking the job of a cashier. But then I think what is the scary part for people is the upskilling requirement that is needed when you are a cashier and you lose your job to said machine, but then the need to upskill, they don't think that they should upskill to be the overseer of said machines,
Right.
right? So I think that's where the fear is
Yeah.
not only that it's taking over jobs, but also that they believe that it's taking over jobs, but the fear of upskilling.
I think about that, and I think about like 5 or 10 years ago, there none of this was here. Things are so much different and have evolved so fast. But
Hmm.
I think it's not going to get evolved to the point where like we're in the Terminator. I always laugh about that because I think we're headed to the Terminator, those things. And a company, I don't people don't necessarily like it used to be that back in the day, if you wanted to create something, you had to hire a company that had to do all of these insane things to be able to do that. Whereas now, somebody like me can sit back and create like I have a clothing line. Say if you wanted to a lamp store, I had could create you things so you could do that without actually having to do it because I'm not artistically
Hmm.
inclined. So I've been able to write books and everything with it. But I think that a lot of it, of course, is the media and things like that. I think it has evolved so fast that it freaks people out. But I don't think it's going to get to the point where we're super intelligence and it's taking over. Because if you notice at the self checkout, there's still a person working there. It still has to be
Yeah, exactly.
overseen by a person. And
Hmm.
honestly, I think the jobs that it's going to overtake are really ones people don't really want to do anyway. So I think because there's always going to be the need. I don't see even Sam Altman. There's never going to be a time where it's not going to need a human. I don't ever see that happening, and I don't see technology is great, and of course, it is very good to be cautious. You always want to understand that technology has its problems, and there is always going to be on the air of caution because it's new and we're not sure about it. Um, but I think we need to like our fear down because there's no way that the world's gonna be taken over by like Terminator robots and everything's gonna be replaced. It would take so long to be able to do that. And there's things that AI just cannot do. Just can't do it. And so I
Yeah.
think that opens the opportunity for people to be able to do things that they want to do, or be able to work from home, or be able to go somewhere else other than just be that cashier. I think that
Mhm.
it's a lot
Yeah.
of opportunity out there, but people need
Yeah,
to
I
also
totally
learn about it and understand it, and not just, yeah, it's so fast and the world is changing so quick. But I think it's going to slow down a little bit. I really don't think it's going to. It's going to change, but I think it's going to slow down a little bit. Where it's been in your face, and of course people trying to scare people with things right now, and and of course it's new, so that of course freaks people out. But I think once
yeah.
people understand, it can help them, and they can see, hey, so say I can't draw because there's something wrong with my arms or something like that, I can use an AI that will help me to be able to do those things where I couldn't do them before. And I think that's a really good advantage to people, especially people that have mental illness and things like that. My mother's one of those people. I have PTSD myself, so I've been able to do things where I couldn't do necessarily if I was out in the real world, I guess. And so that's really helped me, and it helped me come a long way. And the things that I'm creating, I'm trying to actually help people solve real world problems and deal with things that are happening in their life. Like, I'm actually working on a EEG headband that would actually read your brain waves. Not surgery or anything like that, but they can help you rewire your brain to help people with mental illness. That was one of my
Mhm.
goals, and that is one of my things I'm working on
Right.
currently.
That's
Definitely
cool.
change the world.
Yeah, definitely. So we know AI is only as good as data. How should leaders be restructuring their internal data today to be AI ready for tomorrow?
Well, what they should definitely do is you want to possibly go through and see so you need to, what's going to be important. So what are those things that are important for the future, those specific numbers. And you can actually, so for instance, I can take my AI system and say, I want to search the whole internet and tell me what those building blocks are of that company to be able to grow in the future. And I want to make sure that those specifics are in there. I want to kind of take people's personal stuff maybe out of it, just because I don't know if the AI needs all that information, but the stuff that's vital to the organization, I would have someone sit down and take those things and separate them from what the other stuff, like the personal details and things like that. So, and then see what the trends are in the future. Like, where is the future going? What does it look like in 5 years where this kind of industry is? What are those things I'm going to need? So it's you got to think a little bit ahead of time as far as where I'm 5 years. Do I see myself? Like, what is it I'm trying to get across and accomplish? So if you can come up with those intricate data that actually needs to build the system to run the things that are necessary for the business and structure itself, I think that's where you'd start. That's a good place. And of course, like I said, AI, I have AI for everything.
Yeah.
I really do. They search the internet and find out all these things, so I can actually build the systems with that. And the good thing about it is, some of the it still makes errors, but I know that I don't have time to search everything, at once and come up with this amazing amount of data. But I think that would be,
Right.
a good idea to either give me a business consultant or something like that. And just, you want the foundation of what you're going to need to grow from there. Everything else is kind of like
Mhm.
iffy, but the very important things, then
Separate.
that's where you start. Because you need a
Yeah.
foundation for it. And you look at
Okay.
those tasks that
Uh,
can be automated within your company, right? So not everything can be. So you look at those things that can be automated and kind of start from there, like emails or appointments or calling people, those type of things.
yep. I totally agree. So now, congratulations on your Who's inclusion.
Thank you.
So, looking at the landscape of AI innovations, what specific achievement are you most proud of regarding business transformation?
I think that I'm most proud of, actually, it's so really being able to do the whole thing, but I'm most proud of when the first thing worked. So, when the first app I made that was actually able to go in and market a business for somebody, I was like, I can't believe I did that. And so that has
Mhm.
evolved. It's evolved from little things. At first, it was an app it was a do-it-yourself app. It was one of these that, for like me, I don't know much about home repair, but I needed something that could tell me how to fix things and if I needed to go hire somebody. So it started from there, and it worked its way up. So now I'm just to be able to say I am creating whatever the business needs. And the most proud moment was when I realized I could cater to anybody. And just
Yeah.
when the whole thing kind of started coming together, it was really, really, really neat. And to be able to actually have a workable solution for these marketing people. At first I thought there's no way. I had this idea and I thought there's just no way I can do this because I'm literally just from a small town. And I don't leave I take care of my dad full time. He's has health issues, so I have to stay home caretaker. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do that. And so when I put the information, I put a little app out there and somebody answered it, and my AI had already done a form. I had all the information and it had come out with the entire plan. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so good. That was my moment. Like, this is real. Like, this is really going to happen. And it has, I probably come up with a new idea every day. Like, I have more ideas for stuff and there's still a lot to come. And it's a matter of testing the market. So I have tried and error, tried and error, tried and error to see what would work because I really need to bring
That's
some income coming in. It's been a little frustrating, but things are starting to finally come together. And what amazes me the most is when you used to be able to create an app, it was really kind of a hard thing. And now I can do it in like 5 minutes. And I'm like, it looks
yeah.
amazing. So the possibilities are endless. They really are. Really are.
Yeah. No, that's really good. So now for the executive sitting on the fence, what is the hidden fiscal cost of delaying AI system integration by another 12 months?
If you delay it by another 12 months, you might get left behind. So it could be, depending on, it could be anywhere from, a couple $100 to thousands and thousands of dollars because you're going to miss out on that company that went ahead of you. So, and it doesn't ever hurt to try this thing out. So say somebody contacted me, I don't charge anything to give you a plan. You can at least see what's out there instead of, waiting to say, hey, maybe I should jump on this. I think it's detrimental to anybody, especially in technology, to not jump ahead because 12 months, God knows where we're going to be. Even 30 days
Yeah.
from now, you've got companies that are going to be way ahead of you and you're going to lose all your business. You're going to lose all your competition. And I don't think it hurts anybody to go see what's out there. I really don't.
Yeah.
Delaying it is not going to change it. It's just going to make you more expensive and you're going to lose a lot of business. So I'd say probably if you waited a year, you probably lose about $50 to $100,000 just depending on what you got going on at the least.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be finding somebody to implement it. And then you got so with me, I jumped ahead of everything. I said, I want to figure out a way to help these companies that have no idea about AI. They're fresh new going into, they're scared. I want to help them because there's got to be a need for that. And so I jumped ahead of everybody and I just came up with this thing and it kind of just caught.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you focus on content engines. How can a brand maintain premium executive level voice when using AI to produce content at scale?
So as far as my content, so everything I have is like I said, catered to individuals. So depending on what kind of content. So I finally came up with the idea of combining all the social media. So I actually have an app that will give you everything you need for Facebook, Instagram, depending on whatever it is, and it will put you out something good. I think one thing you need to be very aware of is not letting people use other people's likenesses for things and you just have to be very careful. So for me, it would be making sure that that content, depending on what it is, if they want an AI video or something like that, looks realistic, that is meeting expectations, and that it catches your attention immediately. So it's a lot of trial and
Yeah.
error with it, a lot of it. And for people that want to do their own content that don't understand how to prompt, there's answers for that too. So I have a thing you can put an idea for a video and it gives you everything you will ever need to put that video out there. And the other thing would be doing some research. So I constantly research what trends and things like that with YouTube and Instagram and all of it. You have to figure out what is going to catch someone's attention in the first 3 seconds, and that always changes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not necessarily about what you like to do; it's about what's out there and what people
Yeah.
want to see.
Yeah. Because on YouTube, I've noticed a lot of shorts is like, did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you
Yeah.
know? I'm like, no, I didn't know. That's why I'm here.
So I went through when I first started. I started looking up ways to make passive income, and the big thing was faceless
Mhm.
YouTube. So I started probably 10 channels, right? and it's whatever. So you search and see what's good. So funny animal AI, and historic things, and did you know facts and whatever. And basically, people were just copying other people's stuff. So they were telling you go on here and copy and search what this thing says, and then make it your own. Which I was like, that's kind of so. It's kind of crazy the way YouTube is now. I think they're finally cutting down on that. But it's people are jumping on the whatever's popular train, and that's what they're going with. So
Yeah.
you know, you got to be really dedicated and want to make that stuff out there. If you're not in it for the money, if you're in it for just the fun of it, then that's one thing. But it can be very frustrating trying to get monetized and things on Facebook. This stuff changes so much, and you have to be very careful at the rules for everything because a lot of the rules are changing where all that stuff is concerned.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not in it for the money and just for the pure fun
Yeah,
and
I
education.
was like, this is gonna take. I was up to like 200 million, 2 million views or something. And it just kind of, it just, I'm like, oh, and then so I was putting more work into it than a job, and I'm still stuck at like 2 million. So I said, I'm just gonna go, I'll try this. So I'm actually getting ready to start another YouTube channel where this is, called The Visioneer. Of course, that was my new idea. Like I said, I'm coming up with new, changing things all the time. And, you know, I'm willing to help anybody that does not understand AI that wants some help, just some guidance, whatever. 'Cause I do it for fun. So, you know, that's just
Yeah.
been it's been
Yeah,
really
when you
fun.
feel that yeah, when you feel like it's for fun, it's no longer work, right? So it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like eh, it's just passing time at this point.
I do it. If somebody asks me what I do for fun when I'm not doing this, I'm like, this is what I do. I like to make AI videos, and I like that because I love my videos. I think they're funny. And I'm
Mhm.
constantly reading or creating something because I love to do that. For once in my life, I'm able to make tangible, well, not tangible things, but they will be things that are amazing, and I would have never been able to do in a million years, and that are really making a difference in people's lives. For people that my friends, a couple of them can't afford that kind of stuff and don't understand how to do it, and are in bad situations that need to bring income in. So I've actually went and made them stores where they can it mocks up their product, and it's a free store and they don't have to do anything. And it has actually brought them so much happiness and joy to be able to do that. And you know that I think that's what it's all about at the
Mhm.
end of the day.
Yeah, I totally agree. So what's the biggest mistake you see people making when they try to monetize AI?
I just thinking that, hey, I can just do this. So when people are not understanding that AI is a tool, it really is. It's not some magic elixir fix it all. It's just not. So
Mhm.
once you realize that you have to still put the ideas in to make this tool work, that they're thinking it's easy, so I can just do it, you know, because some people make it look easy. I can just go in and tell it I want this and it's going to be a poop done. Doesn't work like that. You have to really put thought into it. You have to really understand what you're doing, and you have to be very careful what you're putting out there and what you're prompting into the systems. I think that's my what I see biggest mistake is, and people get really frustrated. Not as easy as everyone thinks. It's not
Mhm.
another bean. You still have to put the effort in, and you have to learn how to do these things to get it to work right, because it's never going to work right if you just say, okay, I want to make a video or whatever, and then leave it alone. It just doesn't work that. Yeah, it takes a lot of time and dedication, and y- you know, trial and error throughout it. So I think that, you know, expecting it to be the magic fix it all is where I see people making a lot of mistakes, and then they just give up. The other thing is they don't wait. So for people that do YouTube and stuff, sometimes there's lows and everything, and people will give up and say, well, I don't want to do it anymore, or they'll get bored. You know, you have to be really dedicated to it,
Mhm.
and you can't get frustrated with it and think that it's supposed to be the life changing. It's not. It's just like anything else. It's a tool. It can work for you or not. But I think that's where I see the biggest people making mistakes all the time, and then they quit. So it's just,
Yeah.
you know, and they're spending all this money on the wrong things sometimes as well. They're buying all these things to go with it, and they don't necessarily need that or understand how it works.
Yeah, that makes sense. So where do you see AI heading over the next 5 years? And should people be embracing it or be more cautious?
So I see a lot. I see things changing within the next 5 years a lot. So I see a lot of things that maybe are for the better. I see that people maybe is more in their homes as far as being able to help them and things like that. And as far as like, I think that some of the things that make the world go round right now, like fuel and in certain jobs like security police and things like that, I think that's headed into a different direction, and it's going to be look completely different than what it does now. just because there's so much conflict. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. As far as I think that people are going to understand, they're going to get over the fear, and they're going to try to figure out what this is all about. Because let's face it, it's here. So I think that people are
Right.
going to understand that, hey, this is a good thing, not a bad thing. Because I'm hoping and praying that the government decides to stop all the fear mongering things. But I see it, as being a good advantage in helping do things in our life that we don't necessarily want to do, that we have needs for. So I think that it will make our life a lot easier. And I think that people really just need to embrace it, because honestly, what choice do we have? It's here. So if you look at it, and you take yourself out of the media, and you take yourself out of what you're scared of, and look at what it really does, and actually look at a system, like just look at ChatGPT. It's not so scary. It's really not. When people finally
Mhm.
understand that it is artificial intelligence, but it still takes a human to create it. So the people that are creating it, I mean, I'm not doing anything bad with it. I know there's always bad people, but for the most part, the people that are using this are just trying to do something fun with it. And so when you take yourself out of that, like, we're not military. We're not trying to come up, like I always say, the Terminator or whatever. I don't see it going to that. I think that's a lot of people being scared. And I think that was a lot of people. So when it first came out and people were trying to scare people about it's going to take over the world, I think that had to do with investments and money and that kind of thing, where people wanted you to go there with them and invest in their stuff. I think that was a lot of it. I really think people need to be cautious, though, because like I said, it is technology, and it's growing. Their intelligence is growing. I think everybody needs to be cautious and be very wary of doing things like they said, like jailbreak. You don't want to change the rules of any of it. I see a lot of people trying to do that. That's not a good idea. So I think if we take it for what it is and understand the good and benefits it can do for us, and just tune the media out, I think people will embrace it. I really do. And I don't see any reason not to. I don't see it taking over the world like everybody. I laugh because I don't see that happening. I mean, I don't see how it
Mhm.
could, and I don't see it replacing jobs. So honestly, as far as healthcare field and things like that, I don't see it replacing those kind of jobs, because the error where AI is actually a little higher than what it should be when they try to implement it into like surgery and things like that. So I think those fields that are detrimental to human race, if they got out of hand, I think they need to stay human oriented, and I think they will.
Yeah.
So I do worry about that, but I think they are understanding now that it does make mistakes, and as far as this in a surgery type aspect or something like that, where mistakes are fatal, I don't think that it's going to be as much of an impact there, but I do see it making an impact.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, like I think the Terminator
Yeah.
movies and like iRobot and
Yep.
popular AI driven movies are, scary. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Like yes, it's the imagination. Like art imitates life and life
Right.
imitates art, and that's why people are a little bit fearful on the future of AI.
I agree.
I would I would say that AI is, yes, there are things that we should be wary of, especially in the thinking critically,
Yes.
right? We just gotta think critically differently. I
Yeah.
believe that would be the way to go, because critical thinking is the studies show that is going down, especially for the younger generation because of AI.
I
But
agree.
I think the prompting or even like how to utilize AI and why, right? Why and how to utilize AI would be the next level of critical thinking
Yeah.
that I believe the younger generation can have a good hand at it, because they don't think like us, like they
N
don't think like our generation where
no.
we're
And I really
so
honestly think that, and I thought about this, I think that parents and, they need to kind of be very vigilant what their children are doing. Because yes, kids get sucked into social media and their phones and everything like that, and they're not thinking for themselves. So honestly, I think if there was we had to survive, right? And you had the generation that didn't have four phones, because I'm almost 50, and then you had the generation that, I think it would be a really hard for the people that they're so used to technology, because they don't understand what things like used to be like, or how to do things for themselves. I think there comes a
right.
point where you have to do things for yourself because you can't depend on this to do things for you all the time. And we're also losing that ability to talk to each other and be real people. That's the one
Mhm.
of the bad things because we're so addicted to our phones and things like that. But honestly, I think some sort of outreach that would teach children how to do this responsibly and what the good and parents. And so that the fear goes down and we can maybe teach a new generation how to do it more responsibly than what it's been done. Because let's face it, people do have
Yeah.
doing things they shouldn't be doing with AI, which I think it needs to be for specific things and not some stuff. I think that's gotten a little bit out of hand. And the likeness for people and things like that. I think that's gotten a little bit too much to the extreme. And it's just kind of like that's where I think it goes a little bad. But I think
Yeah.
if we can get back to we realize it's a tool and not every telling us what all to do with our entire life and giving us all the answers, then I think that's where it goes bad.
Yeah, I totally agree. So now, when you are not doing your AI stuff, right? What is one analog hobby or habit that keeps your mind sharp for complex problem solving?
Actually, I do a lot of reading, like I read books. And of course I like to write. I do write real books as well. And I'm constantly taking classes. So I have in the process of doing this, I've taken like 36 certifications. I constantly want to learn. So my brain is always thinking of things. And because I feel like if you don't use your brain, you lose it. I'm really scared of like dementia, Alzheimer's, that kind of thing. And so I'm
Hmm.
always doing something to get my brain thinking, whether it be a puzzle or whatever I got to do. I never get tuned into, and I don't actually I'm not on social media all the time, even though I'm on technology I'm really not. So I do not allow myself to get sucked into that at all. But those things like I'm doing a garden right now. And I think my big thing is
Nice.
reading, and I'm trying to learn how if ever we're trying to learn how to be self sufficient if things ever do go bad, because I think that is a necessary thing right now, with the way the
Yeah.
world is. And I do never,
Yeah.
ever, ever, I don't watch the news and I do not get messed into any of that politics, any of that stuff. I keep myself out of that because I think that's been terrible. It's good to know what's going on, but it's really bad. So I think it's very important
Yeah.
to do things other than AI and other than social media. You got to practice whether it's reading, playing, doing a puzzle, anything, like a guitar, music, some painting, something. Because you gotta keep that brain, because 'cause you'll kinda get zoned into like, being a zombie on stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. Because we do puzzles a lot
Yeah.
and do arts and crafts and go for walks and stuff
Oh,
like that
yeah.
so that
Absolutely. I love all that
we're
stuff.
not on the phone, like, all the time, like, that's too much. So
I
we take some time off of the phone and the computer and just make sure that our eyes are healthy because
I always have to
we've noticed.
I have to put it down or I'll work all the time. If I take my phone with me, I will work constantly. I will constantly doing something, or my computer, I will not
Mhm.
stop. And that is just because that's the way my brain is. I think a little bit differently than some people. When I look at things, I wanna know how they work, and I wanna be able to do everything. So I'm actually learning how to work on my car right now, so
Nice.
we're gonna fix that. It's just that's what I am. And my husband's like, well, I am working all the time, and I have to actually force myself not to, even though I enjoy it. But it does get a
Mhm.
little bit like I get a little overwhelmed because I have so many things that I'm working on. It's just kind of crazy, but it's always good to have a natural way of life that's before all the I think of the before times, before technology and when there was payphones and the Tandy computer had come out and that kind of thing. I think life was
Yeah.
really good back then. It really was. It's changed so much, but it was different. People were like, "What's a payphone?" You had to put a quarter in. Nobody knows what that is, or even I always laugh about that. Or what's I
Good
don't
old
know if you know
days.
what claymation is. Somebody was talking about Gumby the other day. I don't know how old you are, but that kid was like, "What is
Yeah.
that?" I'm like, You don't know what that is? Oh Lord!" So, it's kind of things are so different, but so I think people have actually come out of touch with each other. I think it's good to turn all that stuff off.
Yeah, definitely. So, speaking of reading, what is one book or mentor that fundamentally changed how you view the concept of vision?
So it was actually well, one thing was don't let sweat the small stuff was one thing that kind of made a big impact in my life. That
Mhm.
kind of like took you out of focusing on the things that aren't important at all. And of course, another thing I read all Bill Gates and Elon Musk stuff. And actually, believe it or not, a book I wrote. So I started writing stuff down about the way I thought the world was going. And then I started, I heard other stuff about scary AI and all that stuff. And for some reason I was sitting there and I was thinking of this story, because I do horror. I write horror novels about AI and things like that. And and I had an idea and was like, it just kind of, what if, I've read it somewhere, or I think I heard it somewhere. It said, what if AI was not meant to do what we thought it was? What if it's actually a tool created by the higher powers that be to allow us to be
Mm-hmm.
happy and to live our life like we are intended to? And so that kind of
Mm.
changed everything for me, because what if that is the case? Everybody thinks it's so bad. What was the original purpose of it to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of changed everything for me, and how I saw the world and how I saw the world going. So when AI and ChatGPT came along, I embraced it. I wasn't scared of it, because I saw the possibilities and I saw it differently than a lot of people did. But I think just between that and what was the movie that I saw? So the movie with Tom Cruise, where the cyborg, they were predicting crime or whatever. That one kind of,
Minority Report.
yeah, that kind of changed a little bit for me too, because I actually see things happening now that I thought would never were part of those.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of nerd stuff, so mine's mainly I read a lot of the the things that were written on um when AI was made, and the beginnings of it and all that thing. So I don't think that thing was one thing. I think it was kind of that one quote that made me think, you know what, maybe they're right. Maybe AI is not supposed to be this evil entity. Maybe it is supposed to let us live our life and be happy, enjoy like we were put on this earth for. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Some people think differently.
Well, it's like if you think about it, if AI was meant to do all the tedious stuff that we're currently doing, which is like emails and,
Yeah.
you know, trying to figure out what to write in those emails, or scheduling or customer service and whatnot, and that we go back to gardening, right?
Yeah, see,
And
we can do
going to
that.
talk to people.
Everybody thinks so massively when it comes to AI, because so much stuff is coming so fast. It's really, you can use the simple parts of it. You don't have to embrace the nonsense or whatever it is. And they can do those things for you. You just gotta have someone do it for, if you don't know how to do it, to have them do it so you can do that. But people are so
Uh-huh.
obsessed with it being this grand scale of things. And so that is possible. And for somebody that
Right.
say me, I do things for work for myself. I can actually have a day off, because I can have something that's checking emails and replying and send off. Of course, that you got to make sure there's no errors in that, but that is very possible. So that's why I think it's a good thing. I don't understand why some people aren't jumping all over it. And I think it's going to come a point where companies have to. They've got to do it, or they're
Yeah.
going to get left behind. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. Yeah. Well, Valerie, I am so glad that you came on. It was a great
Thank
conversation.
you for having.
Of course, I learned a lot. And yeah, thank you for your time. And thank you to the Wise crew for joining us today. And I will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.